Good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Just want to welcome you to another edition of FanDuel Fridays, brought to you by FanDuel. Specifically, it's a strategy show where we break down the slate for tonight that we have going on today. And as you see, it's me, Andre, go by the name of Andre, Jersey 26 on the DFS streets. And I'm here welcomed by the presence of one of the GOATs, one of the best to ever do it, SquirrelPatrol, aka John Breslin. How you doing today?
Good. Yeah, it's a nice Friday. Got some good weather, a lot of games on tap, and a good slate on FanDuel.
Yes, definitely got a definitely good slate tonight on FanDuel. Got a little tough little choices I think we have to make today, but overall I think it's a great slate, and I just think we're just ready to break it down for the people and give them some ideas of how to attack this tonight. So let's start with pitching on the pitching end today. What are your thoughts so far today on the pitching pool and how are you viewing it today?
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna get crazy with the pitching pool. FanDuel's one pitcher site, strikeouts count pretty heavily. So I'm always just targeting pitchers that I think can get a lot of strikeouts and aren't going to get blown up. And even if they are, have a small chance of getting blown up, like Robbie Ray, out of for example, I'm still going to prioritize them just because of the upside. Like, so you got Robbie Ray, he's facing Texas, in Texas. But I mean, he's a good strikeout pitcher. So he's going to be one of my top plays tonight. Probably not going to get crazy with the other pitchers. Brandon Woodruff. He's another good strikeout pitcher. In San Francisco. And then Alex Manoah is facing a pretty watered down Kansas City lineup because a good chunk of the team couldn't travel to Toronto. So that didn't work out last night. I think the Royals were one of the biggest underdogs in years with their watered down lineup, and they managed to pull out the win. But it was mostly because the Toronto offense didn't score a lot of runs. And so I think Manoah is probably the safest pitcher tonight. So he's somebody that I'm gonna have a large amount of. Outside of maybe the top four, Robbie Ray, Brandon Woodruff, Alex Manoah, and Clayton Kershaw. It's really just going to be, concentrated on those four, and anything beyond that would probably be due to salary. If I'm really dropping down in salary, probably Hunter Green, again, just because somebody that has a lot of strikeout upside. He's got, if you look at his game log, it's littered, 9 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts. But he does. I mean, he has some games in there where he's giving up 6 earned runs in 5 innings and 5 earned runs. And so he does. He gets a little bit touched up sometimes, but he'll probably have lower ownership than those top 4 guys. And he has the strikeout upside that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Hunter Green is definitely like the cheapest guy I would go with. Probably the only guy I would go with on FanDuel. I like Manoah a lot today too. But my top overall pitcher, I think, personally, is Clayton Kershaw. Just because we see that Angels lineup is like kind of watered down. I know he's only going like 6 to 7 innings. But the way the lineup is set up, that they have is a lot of strikeouts in it, and also they just trade away, I think, Tyler Wade to the Yankees. So I think that was a big blow to one of the better hitters to the offense that they have, and I think Mike Trout might be out again tonight. I'm not sure yet. I don't think the lineup came out yet, but if it's just Shohei Ohtani and a bunch of other guys there that are young and that strike out a lot, I like Kershaw here in a strikeout matchup and being a strikeout pitcher, especially with the ownership. So I think that's one of my favorite guys that I'm going to target too. I love the Manoah too as well. Woodruff is probably coming in third for me, and Robbie Ray would be fourth. Just because the price tag on him is 10-7, along with the matchup against Texas. We know he can get strikeouts, but he can also get blown up. I prefer to maybe go with Brandon Woodruff for him. But Hunter Green as well. I think that's a good wild card one, especially if you want to try to fit in all these bats. And I think that's a good strategy tonight. I guess if you want to move on, I guess a little bit real quick to talk about some stacks. I guess more so, is there any other, but in fact, before we actually move on to some stacks, is there any other pitchers that you might have interest in, or that people should maybe have a little bit of interest in, or that those just don't main guys?
it's really those four guys. Probably the next couple of guys I'd be looking at are Alex Wood and
Mhm.
Yu Darvish. I just don't know if the upside justifies it. I mean, even at presumably lower ownership, probably single digit ownership on those two guys, I just don't think they're going to hit often enough that it's going to justify going away from those top four. I mean, even if you're multi-entering, right? Like,
Mhm.
four pitchers, 25% each, and that's already got some diversification there. Alex Wood, he's a good pitcher, but he's just not. He doesn't. I think his highest strikeouts is 8, and it was his last game, and that's great. But he's much more likely to give you that like 6 innings, 4 strikeouts, an earned run or two, and maybe he gets a win, and that's good and quality start. But I'm thinking one of those top 4 guys is gonna outdo that, and even for price considered. You Darvish a little bit the same way, maybe has a little bit more upside than Wood. But yeah, I guess yeah, I still prefer the top 4 guys. If I'm going to a fifth guy would probably be Hunter Green.
Yeah.
Then beyond that, probably you Darvish.
Okay. Yeah, I completely understand and I agree with that. I just wanted to see, well, to see if anyone, like, some people I know have other takes, and some people might play these guys like you, Darvish or Wood. I think Wood is a good option. It's a decent option, but like I said, 100 Green's cheaper than him and has, I think, a higher strikeout rate, I think, right now, if I'm correct on the season, than Alex Wood. So I like that option going with better. So now let's move on to some of the hitters and some of our stacks. How are you approaching this slate tonight? Being that it's a pretty big slate tonight, especially on a Friday. I think it's also the last one, if I'm correct. Maybe one more of the slate before you have the All-Star break. So how are you approaching it?
Yeah, so Friday slates, the thing that always jumps out to me is we're gonna have a ton of games. Like, you generally don't have a bunch of day games on Friday. I think we actually had one today, but it's already been rained out. So you usually have every team in play, and that's true tonight. It doesn't seem to be like a lot of weather concerns. So like every team's probably gonna play. Like, I'm definitely gonna go underweight the chalk generally, but I don't know how much chalk there is on this slate. And it's actually a Coors Field slate too.
Mm.
And usually you'd say, well, you're gonna have a bunch of ownership congregating around the Coors Field team, but it's Pittsburgh. People don't really like to play Pittsburgh that much, right? Like the Dodgers are. If the Dodgers are in Coors Field, I'm excited to play like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, or Craig Turner. I don't know how excited people are going to be to play Jack Sawinski. It's like I don't even know if I'm going to be underweight the road team in Coors, which is rare for me. I think because like the Pirates are probably an underrated team, and playing in Coors, like they may not be as owned as they should be. Like they've got like O'Neill Cruz, like Sawinski's not bad. They're missing Brian Reynolds, but they've got some talented young hitters, and Brian Hayes tends to be underrated. So I'll probably be like even with the field and even with the field for the Pirates and Coors. Team I really like tonight is probably Atlanta. In Washington, they're facing Patrick Corbin. He's left-hander who's just generally been pretty awful this season. And then he signed to a big contract, and they really have to keep throwing him out there just to get the innings to justify the contract. But he's really not showing a whole lot of ability to get major league hitters out right now. And Atlanta is a really talented offense. So that's a situation where I can see the Atlanta offense really going crazy, and the Nationals potentially putting the shortstop in the pitch by the 8th inning. So that's Atlanta's probably my number one stack. If I'm multi-entering, I'm probably gonna spread it out pretty deep, but I'll probably be Atlanta is my highest owned stack.
Okay, yeah, and honestly, like, there's nothing. Honestly, I have no issues with that. Like, that's to me, justified, especially with the way Corbin has been pitching this year. Has maybe had a good game once in like every like 10 or so, possibly he pitches a good game. But in this match against Atlanta, we know they are a high strikeout team statistically, but they can hit the ball pretty well. So that's a team I definitely have a lot of interest in tonight. Pittsburgh. I like the call. I definitely have interest in them, myself. I think that they've just been hitting the ball a lot better lately. So to me, that makes me want to get them a little bit more in my lineups, and just roster them. I'm going to probably use them more as a secondary stack as opposed to a primary stack, though, just because I don't want to get overexposed to cores. Because I guess we just seen a lot of got a lot of games lately in cores, just from my perspective. Um, go a little bit under the total, not over. Some have, but someplace that has it. So I guess maybe it also just depends. But I might take the under approach on that for sure. Myself tonight. A team that I like that I'm pretty sure that you mentioned before that I want to try to get some ownership in is the Dodgers. Dodgers, I think, is a good team. I think we want to try to roster them and go against Sandoval a little bit here. Um, they're not going to be hardly owned, so I'll take my chances and my shots against them. And just try to be sneaky in tournaments. I know they're probably not in the absolute best spot, but these are all great hitters, like just really really good hitters here that they have in their lineup, from Betts to Freeman, to Trey Turner, so to Will Smith. So I like taking some shots at them and seeing if I can use them as a primary stack and be a little bit overweight to the field on there, which I don't think it will be that hard to get to.
Yeah, a couple of teams I forgot to mention. I think Toronto, facing Kansas City. I think they're facing Zach Greinke. That's an offense. Whenever they're facing a pitcher that doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, I'm interested in Toronto because I think they could. That's another team that just pile it on. I mean, they're probably underperformed a little bit this season, but like you look at the power and the talent in that lineup, I think they'll probably be not as owned as they should be. Another team that I'm a little bit interested in, like pretty under the radar, I think will be St. Louis because they're facing Hunter Green. Like I like playing Hunter Green because he can get a lot of strikeouts, but the flip side of that is that he really get blown up as well.
Yep.
And so that's another team like Arenado, Edman, Goldschmidt, Tyler O'Neill. If Hunter Green's like walking a lot of people, putting guys on base, and then prone to a home run, that's a team that I think could be a little bit under-owned, especially because I think people might try to get sneaky, like we said, and play Hunter Green. So you might be getting some leverage with a St. Louis stack.
Oh, I completely agree with you because that's one thing we've seen from the Green give up a lot this season. There's a lot of power, a lot of hard hits in contact. So I love that call for sure. And then one other team that I do have some interest in, I always have interest in, but and they played well for me, I think, yesterday, even though I didn't get a chance to play. I wish I did. It's the Chicago White Sox going against Smeltzer. I'm going to keep going back to the well. They owe me money. So only a lot of money. So I'm gonna keep going back to well and roster these guys. If these ownerships is right, but it's going to change throughout the day. It's coming about around 4% ownership as far as a team total. And I know the smash percentage is not that high for what we have here, but this lineup here going against Meltzer, who gives up a lot of hard contact. I think this lineup is good where they can get to him. A guy like Jose Abreu, someone I love to get to a lot of. Gonna definitely have him more of a primary stack, and he's hitting the ball really well lately. So is Tim Anderson, been playing a lot, playing really well since he's been coming back from injury. Mancada, Vaughn, Luis Robert. So all those guys I love to just try to roster today and get into a stack.
I've got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
What about the Yankees? They're facing Nathan Eovaldi. I think he's coming back from an injury. I don't know. I think that's a team that's got a lot of power, right? Like Aaron Judge is probably my favorite one off of the season, just because he's always prone to hit a home run or two. And when the Yankees aren't as a highly projected stack, I mean, if a guy hits 2 home runs, that puts you in contention for tournament winning lineup right there. What do you think about the Yankees tonight?
I kind of they're iffy. I mean, they've just been so disappointing the past week, but I don't know if like to me, I feel like they're minus on like cruise control, ready for the All Star break, ready to probably take a break and refresh. But I like them today, especially going like you said, going to Evaldi his first start back. But I would have a little bit exposure to him. I think I'd probably use him more as a secondary stack though. Maybe have like a primary stack with them, but definitely more of a secondary stack. I think for me personally. And like you said, Judge is the best one off this year. He can't get away from that. I would definitely make sure he's in my pool for a one off. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Yankees. Like I was looking last night, and they were getting no hit. I think through 6 innings. I was like, oh
Mhm.
man, like this team can't hit, and like then they ended up having a pretty decent game, and Judge hit a home run. I guess because I know the Yankees are your team. My
Yeah.
team's like Washington. Actually, kind of like Nelly Cruz as a one off because it's almost like Aaron Judge type thought process where he's not going to be owned a lot, but he's got decent power potential. He's probably on the trade block, so they're you know yeah he's probably going to be out there trying to hit home runs. So I think that's Washington is probably not going to be a super highly owned stack, but they've got some power facing Ian Anderson. One of the things I like about Atlanta in that game, other than facing Patrick Corbin, is that the weather is pretty conducive to hitting. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sitting fairly close to the stadium right now, and it's just warm, humid. But that can go the other way too. That can work for Washington's advantage. So that's another team that's maybe pretty under the radar, but got a potential to put up some runs.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with that for sure. So is there any teams, any guys specifically that you have mainly you would use as like I guess your top like I guess three guys you would use as like your primary like for your primary stacks today, like or on a team if you had to choose.
Like primary stack or primary
Oh,
on one offs?
primary on one also. Sorry.
Yeah. So Judge
That's-
is probably the number one. I mean, it's obviously very expensive, but I think uh, salary is not that constrained tonight. Where there's some super high priced pitchers that you absolutely have to have. So I'd say Aaron Judge is number one just because of the home run potential.
Mhm.
Um, After that, probably Manny Machado. Same thought process. Decent chance to hit a home run. He's got the platoon advantage facing Madison Bumgarner. Uh, and really with one offs, what I'm looking for are guys that can hit a home run or two, home run and a stolen base, and they're not going to be in a super popular stack.
Mhm.
So that's what can make the difference. Where it's like you've got two decent stacks, like they say a four-man stack, a three-man stack, and you've got the guy that hits two home runs. Like that's going to be a tournament winning lineup. It's like Judge, Machado, and let's see. Mm, um, yeah, go with Nelly Cruz. With Washington, same thought process. Power potential, not in a super popular stack.
All right,
How
perfect.
about yourself?
Uh, me, I mean, this is kind of hard. I try to dictate this based on salary amounts that I have left over, but I try to go with like a guy like Judge is someone I would definitely consider one of my top guys to use as a one off. I don't mind taking, but like I guess my strategy typically would be taking like the popular guys from um from teams as a one off and playing a lone stack personally. So I try to go the opposite way. So any of these guys like for instance, like the popular stack that we have tonight, obviously that so far is Pittsburgh. I mean, is Pittsburgh, but even St. Louis is kind of up there. I would go with a guy like Paul Goldsmith, Nolan Arenado, some of these guys, Fermo Reyes, some of these guys, Jose Ramirez, as well as some of my guys I would use as one-offs potentially, just to get a little bit different and have a little bit of exposure to the more popular stacks. Um, and lineups and just go with like I said different stacks just try to get different and a lot more leverage in tournaments. Yeah, and so what one I guess a few more questions I guess. What is your strategy as far as lineup construction wise? Like, are you going to use more 4 4s, 4 3s, 3 3s, 3 2s?
I definitely want to stack maximum just because the correlation is so hard, to get away from, right? Like that's what'll make your lineup like jump up the leaderboard is guy gets, a double, another guy gets a single, and then somebody hits a home run, and you're getting all of the runs, the RBI. Uh, so I mean, it'll probably be 4 4s and 4 3s, 4 3 1s. Like qualifier. Like I know if FanDuel's running a qualifier seat again tonight. I think it's maybe number 101 or 102 out of 125. I think it's a $44 qualifier. There, I'll tend to do a lot of 4-3-1s just because I'm really trying to avoid any kind of duplication, right? Like, if you tie in the qualifier, you just got to play a one, a head-to-head contest the following night. So I really want to avoid ties in that format. So then I'll do 4-3-1s, maybe a little bit more, just because I'm trying to get a little bit more different. Whereas like a 4-4 stack could be more likely to be duped. But I'm probably going to be doing a lot of 4-4s and then just some 4-3-1s.
That's an interesting question. Interesting brings me to an interesting point. Like, because I've seen a lot of people talk to a lot of the people in the industry about this, and they do a lot of the same thing with the 4-4s. Like, what makes you like them so much? Do you feel like personally me? I like to run a lot of 4-3s and sometimes 3-3s, because I want to have a little bit of, especially on a big state like today. I want to make sure I have, like hitters spread out from different teams with some type of stacks. Running 4-4s, that limits you a little bit to just two, like pretty much just two teams, and besides the pitcher, how do you how much do you take that into consideration that you're being limited by that?
So I'll take a look at the lineups, and like what I'll do is I'll run maybe 4-4s, and then I'll take a look and see, like, do I have some like really bad ninth place hitters in those lineups that are just there because they're completing the stack. And if the guy doesn't have a lot of power, then he's going to be pretty lowly projected. I'll take a look and can I just swap this guy out for like I don't want to be playing like the ninth place hitter for say Oakland when I could put in like Manny Machado or Aaron Judge. And generally I'm not going to always have that salary, but like I'm looking for those situations in those lineups when I'm generating them where it's like, no, this is like a bad lineup because it has a ninth place hitter who's probably not going to hit like 2 home runs, and I could swap him out for a much better player. And that's how I'll end up with like a 4-3-1 is I make that kind of swap. And sometimes I'll intentionally run 4-3-1s as well. It really depends on the situation.
Okay, yeah, this is just a question because I know like myself, I just love 4. I think 4-3s are typically like my go-to. I think it's also the best way to try to attack a slate, especially a big slate like today, because I want to make sure I get a full stack on the lineup, and then like I said, a secondary stack of 3, along with a one-off from a third different team that's typically popular. Like I said, going along with my low owned stacks that I have. But yeah, guys, before we get out of here, is there any teams that you are limiting to just being only secondary stacks?
So probably not. Sometimes I will. Like sometimes, particularly like the Angels, like if Otani's pitching, right? Like you can't play Otani as the hitter, and it's like, well, they don't have that many good hitters. If a team really only has like 2 or 3 good hitters, then I'll limit them to just being a secondary stack. But I don't know if there's any teams that fit that like strict criteria tonight. Maybe if I'm trying to think, like maybe the Reds, like maybe just Votto and Pham or something like that. Maybe the Cardinals, like with just because even like O'Neill, Arenado, and Goldschmidt, you're really just 3/4 of the way to a full stack there. So maybe St. Louis if I really just wanted to play those 3, but like Edmonds pretty good. So probably Cincinnati be the team I'd most likely to just stick to a mini stack. But I'm not going to go out of my way to find teams that I'm only mini stacking, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I kind of agree with that same sentiment. A little. I'm gonna probably like Dodgers. I'll probably do both more so. More so want primaries, but I can see them a lot more of a secondary stack though tonight and going off. St. Louis is another one that you mentioned before. I definitely don't mind seeing that. Doing that as well. Yankees is another one too. I think those are 3 teams. I think I could see myself limiting them to just being more so secondary stacks, just to have some exposure to them and going with these other teams as primary stacks today for sure. So just before I guess we get out of here, just want to get a quick summary. I know, like I guess we went over before, like the top stacks we like today. But just want to get overall summary of what your top three stacks are, your favorite three, I guess, and your favorite like two pitchers you want to go with to three.
See, so the top stacks, I'll go Atlanta, St. Louis, and I'll do Pittsburgh. Yes, Atlanta, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh for the top stacks. And was it top three or top four pitchers?
You can go. We could go top three pitchers.
Top three, I'll go Robbie Ray. I'll do Alex Manoah, but it's close with Kershaw. But I'll take the savings, and I'll take the fact that Manoah is facing like a pretty watered down Kansas City lineup. And then I'll go to roll the dice on Hunter Green.
Okay, I like it. I like it a lot. My top three pitchers. Number one is going to be. It's going to have to be probably Alek Manoah. Just for the matchup against Kansas City. Number two is going to be Clayton Kershaw, which is close for me. And then number three, I'm kind of probably going to go with Brandon Woodruff there going against San Francisco. I think I kind of like that a lot. And the matchup there, going to stick to probably the top guys. Hunter Green would be the fourth one for me if I had to. And then my top three stacks that I do like getting to today. It's tough, but I I'm gonna say Atlanta like you. I like Atlanta a lot today. It's hard to avoid them. Chicago White Sox is someone I'm gonna probably have a lot of exposure to today as well. And I'm gonna try to get some exposure to the Dodgers too. So I think that would be my top three main stacks. I'll be looking to try to get into my lineups today and take advantage of some of the ownership and hopefully it being low on some of these guys. And yeah, the tournaments, tournament wise, you're gonna be playing in. I'm pretty sure like every tournament out there, like the 4-4 and the qualifier as well.
Yeah, generally the larger tournaments and the qualifier, probably my bread and butter. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the most fun tournaments, and obviously the live final qualifier is kind of my thing. So, and FanDuel's got some good offerings out there, so it should be a good night.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, FanDuel right now they have a couple tournaments open. Just want to let you guys know. The 40 is a $44 World Fantasy Baseball Championship qualifier out there. So right now it's probably like a quarter, like one third of the way filled. So jump in there, get a seat if you and try to get a seat if you can. Try to be either me or Squirrel there if you can. And then also the $4.44 MLB squeeze on Friday night that they're running for 25K up top. Enter that too. And if you're one of an expert player and a high roller player, high stakes player, I should say, the MLB Emperor at 1650 with 200 people. For 100K up top is something that they also have today as the main top three contests today. And if you want like something that's a little bit mid stakes, the $9.99 one is for 10K up top. The MLB Rally is another one that pays out pretty well too today. But is there any other things that you might want to say as far as strategy wise before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up. It's a big slate. I'll be interested to see like where our ownership projections end up as we get the official lineup start rolling out. Just because I think it's a good night. If some of the stacks we mentioned maybe end up being pretty highly owned. I mean, there's so many teams in play tonight that I think it's a good night to try to go off the chalk a little bit. I think it was 13 games, so 26 total teams. Like any team could really end up putting up a ton of runs. So, I mean, I think it's a good night to get different, but it should be a good night of baseball.
Yes, definitely. I agree with you. Good night of baseball. And hopefully, one of us is at the top winning another seed or taking down the tournament. And I look forward to seeing you in Chicago.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here, guys. I want to say thank you, John, for joining me today on a FanDuel Strategy Show, and good luck to everyone tonight. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit one of us up on Twitter. My Twitter screen name is Drizzy2026_DFS. John, yours is the same thing, Squirrel Patrol.
No, it's not. There's probably somebody out there with the handle Squirrel Patrol that's like, I just like squirrels, man. I don't know why everybody keeps asking me about baseball. No, it's actually at JBRESL.
Okay. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to inbox one of us. We'll be glad to hopefully answer them when we get to them. But yeah, good luck to everyone tonight, and I'll see you later.